Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Faenza Prize Talk. Today we will have the pleasure to meet other artists, but especially to meet Judith Schwartz, who will conduct this online meeting, and I will give her the floor in a few minutes, but before I would like to tell you that if you have any question addressed to the artist, please write them online. And especially if you want to have a look at all the talks we have already done in the previous week, they are still online on our YouTube channel, Faenza. So Judith, the floor is yours, and thank you for sharing with us this experience and for staying with us in this beautiful edition of the Faenza Prize.
Well, good morning. It's in morning time here in New York, and I'm very delighted to be here as always. I enjoy these conversations so much because the artists illuminate so much more about the work and their personal passion, their interests, and their concerns about how the clay material can be so extraordinarily different into every one of their hands. You know, to have so many entries and then to narrow it down to these experts and to see that everyone is such a unique expression, it really makes you feel good about the artistic spirit. And so I'm really delighted to be here, and I'd like to first welcome all of you and congratulate you for your extraordinary submissions to the Faenza Prize, and congratulations for being part of it. I'm going to start now with our first interview, and I'm delighted now to introduce Ljubica and her co-worker, Nicola. You know, you two, well, your group is doing something so extraordinarily new. You know, ceramics is already a community kind of sharing of work, but you are bringing a new kind of meaning to the word collaboration. And so I would love for you to share a little bit about yourselves and about this extraordinary collaboration that you're doing among your group, and then to show us your work.
Thank you very much, Judith. Yes, now you can see our short presentation. Mikaso Tamago group of visual artists was formed with the aim of promoting and popularizing the contemporary possibilities of expression in ceramics. The group consists of several exceptional artists and designers, and currently the central setting of creative force and production is made up of Nikola Knezevic, Naho Yamashita, Ljubica Jocic-Knezevic, and Mirko Milošević. You can change the next photo. Yes. So Nikola is doing 3D modeling, rendering, and concept art. Usually he's doing Rhinoceros program software. Naho Yamashita is working at Ishoken in Tajimi, in Mino area in Japan. She's ceramic designer, ceramic artist. She is also a member of IAC. Me, Ljubica Knezevic, I'm doing ceramic art and visual art. I'm also a professor at the University of Art in Belgrade, as well as Nikola. Nikola is teaching industrial design. I'm teaching at the Department of Ceramics. And my main subjects are related to ceramic art and to some other subjects which are developing ceramic in 3D media, in some spatial installations and other. Also, we have a member who is occasionally working with us. It's Mirko Milošević. He's in charge for multimedia art and for experimental video, as you will see later. So we are a small group. We have some more members in Hanover, in London, and also Mark Dabovic, who is in charge for promoting us. But anyway, we understood that it's really good to connect each other and to link and to do something together. For example, Nicola, Naho, and me know each other for a long time, more than 2 decades. We are friends and we occasionally helped each other, but it was never at the level of cooperation and networking. And now we gather around this project, around Mikaso Tamago, and we have been developing a kind of brand for the 2nd year already. Now you can see the next photo. Here from the left side is Naho's work. It's very minimalistic, black and white, very Japanese. And from the right side is some of my works. Very early, I understood that ceramic is, how to say, it's not always right definition of ceramic. It's usually lower art level and too decorative for fine arts artists and curators. So my idea was to do a next step, to do ceramic paintings. So also my tiles are very minimalistic with the black and white only, but also I include golden frames, which are maybe collective memory, especially in Europe, and to do something completely different from before. So on next photo, you can see Nicola's work.
Yeah, these are all my works. Here you can see here you can see mixture of industrial design and the works that I did for various ceramic art exhibitions. And I guess the distinguishing point between Ljubica's work and my work is the precision that I'm striving to, and that quality she saw as a major contribution to the group. And
yeah, Nicola took part in several great, actually, ceramic exhibitions, like Taiwan, Faenza, Mino competition as well. And he's also developing some products which are related to small, not industry, but small manufacturing, like this amplifiers, yes. So we understood that if we link all together and if we do some kind of network together, we can really do some totally innovative projects. So on the next slide, you will see in the beginning, unfortunately, we don't have those photos here. The backbone of the story was a client's idea for a functional form, and it was interesting to develop a very precise technical and technological form for production. But then we understood that we have more ideas and more, we were more, how to say, eager to deal with some larger installations and large spatial compositions, which are very challenging. So here on this slide, you can see a part which Nicola did. We got certain space in the Museum of Applied Arts in Belgrade, and we had to do some kind of installation which will be totally unique. But to know how to deal with it and how to start, first it was a sketch in a 3D, and after the rendering, so from the right side you can see how it was. It was a kind of curtain from ceramic forms, little balls in a 3 three dimensions. And the variation of it was like from 3,000 to 1,500. We didn't know how much to apply. Then with the Nikola model, we understood what will be the best. And
so this was a completely custom-made installation for that space that was given to us by the museum.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you: is that a video going on in the back?
That's right. Video is the different kind of stop motion and other different video, records which we use. And Mirko Milošević was in charge for video. Usually, when I'm doing my forms, you can recognize some special texture, but here everything is plain white porcelain, and actually the video is the one who is giving a kind of hologram play on it, and it's a dark coils, the big dimensions coils, which we use to prepare for this video. And the main goal actually was to have some kind of mirror for this installation, and to show how can be changed from the plain one with lights only and with video only. So now you can see our work for Faenza prize.
Great. We only have a couple of minutes more, so we really want to get into this work that you will be displaying.
Yes, it's very important for us because the main concept, it was research, actually, to try to show how this wall composition can be made from different kind of panels. We use the porcelain, two different kind of porcelain, which are of course white, and with some black porcelain, with some texture, with grog, shamot, with mirrors, and with of course glass cassettes. So each one was preserved actually and put in those glass cassettes and formed the 49 objects actually. So we understood it's very important to show interdisciplinary in a work, interactive relation with the observer, to have some kind of totally undecorative way of displaying ceramic, and to show how new branches of art and the new applications in ceramics are possible, and also to open and to show the possibilities and without any limits, and with some kind of work which will be totally new and interesting. So this was a kind of idea. So on the next photo, you can see details of this work. It's very expressionistic. We did totally different from before, and totally different from this pattern to take care about technique and technology. This panel is a different, very worked in a very expressive way, and you can recognize the paper porcelain as well, in combination with those texture and with the porcelain. And also you can recognize how it mixed and how it's changing. So on the next photo also, you can see the final one, also detail of some of the forms and panels. So we have a shamot, and we have those textures and the porcelains. Everything is frozen in a moment and actually preserved in those cassettes. I have to admit that during my study in Japan and during my researching for my PhD project, I emphasize very much work of Ito Kosho. Ito Kosho is totally different from all other artists even though my big mentor and my big professor and friend was and is Harumi Nakashima. All contemporary ceramic artists, which were how to say, I understood their works and I followed their works. They were really something special. But Ito Kosho is completely different. He's not ceramic artist. He's just using ceramics and some other materials which are related to ceramics to show great expression of his
Ljubica, this is such extraordinary work, and the collaboration that you're doing is so unique. There are so many questions that I have for you in terms of how you teach this collaboration, what the university, how it gets involved. But in this particular work, just as you move the viewer from window to window, it's like a surprise, a new package opening as you move from each frame. The interaction of video and the interaction of the new technology is just extraordinary. And I really hope to have more conversations with you. But right now, unfortunately, this was so interesting, so many questions. We'll have to leave it for another time to come back, but we need to move on. But congratulations, you are all contributing to very fresh ways of looking at ceramic art. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my next speaker, our next artist is Marieke from Belgium. Hello, Marieke. Good morning. You're on mute. Put your
okay. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. I want to also give you as much time as we have, and so why don't we get right into the work? And if you don't mind, if we have questions along the line, I'll ask you during that. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Formally, my work transforms raw material to landscape, more specifically mountain landscape and rock landscape. And through my interest in Chinese culture, I also find myself in a landscape of scholar stones. And scholar stones, or gonchi, are in the East, and more specifically in Taoism, miniature mountains with a sacred meaning. And the stones possesses a soul, a qi. And each stone requires a specific pedestal, one which has been consciously determined and selected for it alone. And I always question how best to present my mountain landscape and its kind of pedestal. And this work, selected for Premio Faenza, it's called Das Spiel der Najade, in English, Naiads at Play. It's called after a painting of the Swiss artist Arnold Böcklin. It is not really a mountain landscape, but rather a rock in the sea, a sea, which itself in turn has become a rock. It's a kind of a scholar rock within a sculpted space. That sculpted space is formed by linear metal staves in the shape of a mountain. The terms naiads can refer to nymphs or to shells, and that leads me to connecting rocks and to a potentially erotic idea. And the literal physical mobilities of naiads at play is suggested by presenting the work in its removal case. The packing case appears to float also a little bit. The ceramic naiads at place, it forms the altar within the mountain. One can enter this mountain of the naiads, the mountains of silence and the mountain of hidden temptation. And at the rear, it's a previous slide still. At the rear of this case, actually, there's a small work added. It's a small shell revealing female organs. It's just a small surprise remarked by the viewer who is willing to engage with this temptation.
And so the material above the iron, is it welded iron? Welded?
Yeah, no, it's they are really loose. I have to move them, so I can put them together and I can make them apart. But I have to,
How are they held together then? Is it metal?
it is all metal, and some are screws, and some are really like fitting in, and different. Actually, there are 3 different systems.
The backdrop of that metal structure gives it a feeling of space that
Yes.
you don't get if you were just to have the sculpture on the ground with the wood and the clay. It gives such a wonderful voluminous shape. So it gives it so much clouds and sort of a spatial atmosphere. I think it adds tremendously to the work.
Yeah, I think I actually is pulling the heavy ceramic work in the air. And I had this big, huge space. So I felt I needed to pull it up. And actually it stayed like this later on. Yeah.
Wonderful combination of material, but
Yeah.
it spatially and aesthetically brings you into the total feeling for the work. It makes it heavy and light at the same time.
Thank you.
Let's go to the next work.
Yeah. In a solo exhibition, I presented this Nayatset play, the previous work, in juxtaposition with this inspired work, La Petite Mort de Kunlun. And I needed actually both works to balance the space. And in next work, the next slide, yes, you see, previous slide, sorry, previous one. Yes, here you see 2 pots I adapted from the city of Jindetsen. I saw them lying under nettles and weeds, abundant along the sides at a big pot factory. And to me, these failures and distortions were as beautiful as a rolling landscape. And I actually linked the 2 pots with 3-4 tons of raw porcelain.
Wow.
I started to sculpt. In this work, actually, I have researched the process of creation through body thinking, which is a very important thing for me. Body thinking, which involves a focus on acting and doing, being so concentrated in the matter, in the moment itself, that you're creating a kind of nurturing void in which the artwork can reveal itself.
Great. Let's move on, because I want to make sure that everyone sees the rest of the work as well.
Okay. Well, Matt immediately invites corporeality, and we can go further with this. We can go to the next slide, actually. Yeah, this work is a potter's wheel, which turns whenever a visitor enters the space. It's an older work in which subconsciously combined the Western and the Eastern thought already. In the West, the mountain mostly is seen as something physical with gravity, while in the East, mountain stands for spirituality. And depending on our position on the mountain, we will see different views. And here it is the mountain that turns towards us to show us the different aspects of its existence, and so confronts us with our own existence, I guess. Next slide. Occasionally, a sort of figuration appears in my landscape, and between my mountains and this figuration, forms begin to grow, mostly organic and sometimes erotic. And the term bivalve refers to a class of typically marine mollusks that have a 2-valved hinge shell. And in the ceramic work, the landscape forms itself from inside the shell. An organism is growing inside and concurrently forming its own external shelter, giving movement from inside to outside. I think it is how an artist is working. Originally, I focused on the ellipse as a symbol of emptiness. Later, I composed my bivalve. We can move to the last slide. Xuejing. In my research into the creative process, I always was intrigued by the statement of Xuejing, and it is form is emptiness and emptiness is form. And to put it bluntly, this statement indicates not being able to stand apart from things. Everything is empty of being separate in itself. And that's always intriguing me. This work is double, both in meaning and in image. The image communicates space from dual characteristics. On the one hand, the erotic aspect, which stands for feminine receptivity. And on the other hand, we have the religious aspect, which is portrayed in a pouring gesture and representing pure surrender. And this work is installed into a corner of an empty room, and it stands for an open, free mind which frames an endless, empty, and full space.
Wonderful. Marieke, you are so full of life in your work, and the extraordinary thing is your sense of space. You really do place every one of your pieces with the viewer coming into a unique environment that you're creating. And I must say that you have a great aesthetic for bringing us nature into our lives. And the mountain piece that was selected for the Faenza Prize is really quite extraordinary. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed your presentation so much. And again, more conversations in the future.
Yes, okay.
Our next artist that I'd like to present to you is Veljko Zejak. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
You bring a great deal of social and political messages in your work. And I found the piece that you're presenting is very powerful and really chills my backbone. You really are bringing some wonderful ideas. And you have such an interesting story that I would love for you to get directly into it. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's get into the work.
Basically, I'm a sculptor. I do ceramics for a long time. Ceramics is just one material that I use in my work. Often I make socially engaged projects that involves other people. I mostly work with marginalized people, like prisoners, like gypsies, in this example was refugees, and I gave them opportunity to work, to express themselves, and then I make something out of it. So for this work, this work was realized in Neumünster in Germany in the frame of art residence. I was there in 2017. That was time of this refugee crisis in Europe, when people from Syria, Afghanistan, and Africa spread through Europe and tried to reach Germany. And in this city, it is on north of Germany. There was a lot of refugees that are trying to get even in Sweden or somewhere else. So I proposed to work with them, and then I started to work with two refugees camps in this city, and I realized these workshops. So these workshops was I have some more pictures. Maybe you can go to others.
The next slide, Stefania. Thank you.
Okay. So for this work, I cast their hands and 12, and I put them in the line, and they are holding a pipeline. It is pipeline for transport of gas, and hands are burned in a gas skin and in reduction. So it becomes very how to say, carbonized. So
Why a copper pipe? Why the metal copper?
So I use this. So this copper is used for transportation of gas. So actually, the idea of this work is to show like we put many people in the. So they are like in the wall. The people are in the wall, and only their hands are getting out of the wall, and they are offering us pipeline, and actually it is also connected to this thirsty for resource, for energy and resource. And it is like the main reason for the most of wars today, and that's why.
Interesting.
Yeah. And these are people that they are my students. And there was 3 groups. This is just from one group of them. I work maybe with something about 40 to 50 people there. And we made also some other experiments. We started with one. So we started to make something like their portraits on clay, and they put their hands and make something like inscribe their wishes, and then we talk about it. It was social engaged workshops that I made with them, and there was many people at the opening. There come maybe 100 people from these camps and other populations. So when I went to Germany, I didn't know what I can expect there, because we saw many on television, and I didn't know what I can expect, but people are really supporting them, and some of them are really nice, and I met there some good guys, and I think those refugees, and I'm still in contact with them, and they start their life in Germany.
Well, you've really changed their lives a lot, and your presence has made a big difference. This is a wonderful picture. Tell us about this.
So this work I made in 2015. So I was invited to in one summer residency in one camp on Croatian Sea in Rijeka, and there was maybe 10 to 15 artists, and we was asked to make something like on this beach, and to react with people, and to try to make something like in situ on this beach, and I realized this work with the hands there. And it was also the time when this float of refugees come into Europe through the Mediterranean Sea, and this is also Mediterranean Sea, but we people from Europe look at Mediterranean like a place for tourism, and the others that are coming from those areas, they are looking like a place for hope, and place of transit, and many obstacles comes from this, and I wanted to make a connection between these two worlds, like tourism with this raw presence. And the hands that I use was hands from the mostly the Bosnian artists. So in Bosnia they have also this struggle, they have war, and many of them was also refugees, and I wanted to make something with this.
Well, I must say, Veljko, you are an extraordinary artist with a social conscience and bringing up so much of the refugee problem in Europe and we have throughout the world where so much life has changed the lives of so many people. And by coming in with you as an artist to influence and be part of these people's lives and to bring it to our attention is an extraordinary achievement. And we thank you very much for your really powerful social commentary on life today. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker, we're very happy finally because we weren't sure we were going to get our connection to Beijing. But I'm very happy to meet and be introduced to Xuejing Peng.
Good morning, ma'am. And this is Xuejing Peng. And he just thought he has a little difficult in pronunciation in English. So he'd like to ask me to maybe to point out or translate or explain maybe his design ideas. Is that okay, ma'am?
Wonderful. So let's get into the work because the work is so wonderful. You bring such tradition, Chinese tradition into your work, and the idea is so brilliant. So let's get into the first slide.
Okay, and thank you so much, ma'am. And the selected work is about spiritual exploration of ceramic abstraction, and it is entitled Practice Calligraphy from a Model, Flowing Spirits. Porcelain is expressed in the traditional Chinese art context as pure, as elegant, and in the contemporary art aesthetic context as tough but fragile, signifying the fragility and the sadness of life. So Mr. Peng just wants to explore the way ancient Chinese literary thoughts when expressing themselves to the world through porcelain materials. For example, the extreme pursuit of porcelain glaze color by the literati in the Song Dynasty. Either the color of the sky before the rain clears. This no, the first one, mom. Yeah, the first one. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. that is okay. And so the color of the sky before the rain clears, and this extremely delicate and abstract color is very metaphysical. So Mr. Peng just wants to pursue this way of thinking and use it in his work practice. He made the porcelain as thin as paper and incorporated the abstract elements of Chinese calligraphy into the paper to make the illusion of being frozen in the process of burning. The lines in the calligraphy are like flowing thoughts and emotions. These flow, burning traces in the paper. And the flowing burning trace is preserved on the paper, representing a quiet and slow flowing lightness. Okay, shall we get to the next one, mom? Yeah. The next one, yeah. The next one, please. Okay. The next one, sorry, mom. Yeah. Okay. And this work is about women's writing, and it's entitled Women's Script, Sister Script. The women's calligraphy is a special script invented by local women in a remote area of Jiangyong County, Yongzhou City, Hunan province, China, which is mainly used as a tool of women to tell their sufferings and communicate their emotions. Women's writing has a characteristic. So people die and the book is burned. So Mr. Peng used this permanent quality of ceramic material, which does not decay for 1,000 years, to express the instantaneous death, to freeze the flow of emotions and the feelings at a certain moment, and to engrave the spirit. So the text part of the work is written by the writer to his sister, who is separated from him by thousands of miles. About it contains life, emotions, and life perceptions. The hard and fragile nature of ceramic material is integrated into this work, which makes people feel a poetic romance flowing. Okay, and Mr. Peng was born in Yongzhou. Okay, so he is the native person. That's the reason why he just knew something about women's writing. Okay, Mom, please just let's move to the next one. Okay. The second work is an exchange of letters between a couple who were reluctantly separated during the Liberation War in China in the 1940s. So Mr. Peng just, so this work is entitled Love Letter. They fell in love in mainland China, but due to the war, the girl stayed in mainland China while the boy went to Taiwan with the army. These are two letters that neither of them never received. The work uses ceramic material as the carrier of the emotional expression, and the words that are burned are like fading time, ashes and smoke, leaving only the ashes of longing. The words that are taken out make the whole paper thinner, more fragile, more sensitive, and more internal. So when you hold these works in your hands, you can instantly feel the temperature and the weight of their emotions. Okay, thank you, Mom. Okay, yeah. The next one, please. Okay. And this work is a project that Mr. Peng did for the opening of a new art museum. And it is entitled The Sun, the Moon, the Wind, the Storm, and the Clouds. Mr. Peng took the shape of the river between these 2 points to stimulate a flowing river. The text is a silk book excavated from the Han Dynasty site, which records the experience of Chinese Han Dynasty people who observed the changes in nature and used it to guide warfare, agricultural production, and life. The text reads like water flowing from the site into the museum, full of surreal romanticism. So all these works just point to a paradox between the passage of time and the timeless qualities of ceramics, so making the ceramic material more pure in its artistic expressions. So
Wonderful.
that's okay.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you for your translation. And I'd love to just be sure to tell Mr. Peng how romantic he is in his sense of history, his sense of the historical power of calligraphy and then bringing it into the clay, which makes it live forever. Unlike on paper, the love letters and the calligraphy can so easily be destroyed, but he is preserving the past with the present, and he's really quite a historical, romantic person. And I just love the work. And I have one question though. Is it laser cut? Is he laser cutting the calligraphy on the paper clay? You know, how is he cutting the letters, the calligraphy onto the clay? Technically.
他问你是怎么样把这些东西放到这个里面的？
How are you cutting? How are you making the
我是
calligraphy?
把它镂空刻出来的。镂空是什么？镂空
By
就是
hand?
用刀，
是用手的。
是的。
He just carved it with his hands.
Wow. Wonderful. Just extraordinary. Just
Thank you,
extraordinary. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that we have a great connection to Beijing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is actually coming to us by way of a video, and he has a long, wonderful tradition working in clay, and he has developed a sense of history as well. And I'd like to introduce now the last speaker, but it's coming to you by way of a video, and his name is Massimo Manfredi. And Stefani, if you don't mind, we'd love to see his video. And
Buon pomeriggio a tutti. Tutto il mio lavoro è realizzato con un'antica tecnica etrusca, utilizzando l'ematite, un ossido di ferro che raccolgo direttamente nei campi del luogo, a Tarquinia, dove sono nato e vivo, e che sottopongo a una cottura a riduzione di ossigeno. Il titolo del mio lavoro selezionato è Io sono qui. Io sono qui è un lavoro sulla presenza, essere presenti a se stessi. Chi sono e dove sono? Far affiorare alla coscienza il proprio mondo e farne una mappa affinché si riveli e si descriva ed appaia ai nostri occhi, una sorta di geografia del paesaggio interiore. Un volto, un'immagine che si va formando dentro un territorio stratificato, corrusco ed infuocato che lo avvolge, ed un cielo con un uccello, una colomba, uno spirito che ci mette in contatto con le forze celesti, ed una barchetta che invita al viaggio. È il racconto in questo mio lavoro. Credo che un artista debba confrontarsi con il cosmo, con l'universo, e percepirlo costantemente. Sarà perché sono figlio di contadini che ad un certo punto mi è venuto naturale lavorare la terra. È stato più per un motivo esistenziale che tecnico. Per questa ragione non mi sono mai sentito un vero ceramista, ma ho sempre amato definirmi un terracottaro. Non c'è una parola in inglese per tradurre terracottaro. Potrebbe essere terracotta maker. Sono piuttosto attratto dalla fragilità, dall'intrinseca fragilità della terracotta, che assimilo alla fragilità dello spirito. Bisogna conoscere profondamente questa fragilità. Mi trovo spesso ad esaltarla, rischiando, per restituirgli la sua forza, la sua possibilità espressiva, per restituire allo spirito la coesione della materia che lo incarna. C'è una precarietà costante in questa fragilità, che è una sorta di vocazione, è una verità. C'è una costante ed una variabile. La costante è del momento, ma il momento è già passato, la variabile è costante. Le cose cambiano continuamente. La variabile è l'unità di misura di tutte le cose. Perché il bruco diventa farfalla? È già un essere compiuto come bruco, ha una sua vita. Che cosa è questa aspirazione a diventare altro? Farfalla. È il mistero della creazione, che è poi il mistero vero della poesia. Da dove viene l'aspirazione alla santità, per esempio? Mistero. Procediamo per frammenti. Possediamo soltanto frammenti di noi. Della realtà percepiamo soltanto quello che ci permettono i nostri sensi. Ed il resto? Bisogna sviluppare un altro occhio. Io sono un archeologo, intento a grattare la terra per disseppellire quello che rimane dell'uomo coperto da strati di nulla. La materia dello spirito, come quella dei sogni, non può essere toccata dalla decomposizione, diceva il poeta. Io sono un bambino che cammina con la testa nell'aria prima di domande alle quali qualche volta, forse, riesca a dare una risposta che abbia un senso formale. Io sono un contadino che ha colto l'uva nella vigna e ne ha fatto del vino, che ha visto il sole sorgere nei campi e tramontare nel mare, che è cresciuto in un piccolo paese costruito all'epoca degli artigiani, dove anche un casolare ed un muricciolo sono opere d'arte, e con questi mi conforto e mi confronto. Grazie a tutta la giuria per avermi dato questa opportunità di raccontarmi.
Thank you, Massimo. That was just wonderful. And in contrast to Mr. Peng, who uses the white, clean, thin porcelain against your earthy, powerful earthenware Etruscan research, is just a wonderful juxtaposition. Well, this was so much to contemplate. Claudia, this has been quite an extraordinary group of artists. I hope we all can come back on the screen now. You know, in summary, I have to say that the sensitivity, the emotional, the philosophical, the social and political ideas expressed among all of you is continuing to show the incredible expressive qualities that clay in the hands of such masterful artists can convey so much to our life. And all of you are working on such cutting edge ideas. I have just a very quick question that I'd like you all to think about. Beginning with the very first presentation of Ljubica and the team, and all of you, how do you integrate the extraordinary ideas that you're working with? Many of you are teachers and or living life, and how do you integrate your daily life with the research that you're doing? Because many of you are teaching, or you have to also teach technology. So, for example, Ljubica, you can't possibly teach all the new technologies to new students coming into the field, for example. Tell us how you integrate your personal work with that you're teaching.
For me, it's very important to develop myself, first of all, and to work hard, because I think if I don't have those kind of references, it's impossible for me to teach other people, for example, students, which are very fragile. So I feel blessed that I'm working with basic studies, master studies, and PhD students as well. And I think I'm doing this. I incorporate my work with the university. But for me, the day is not enough. I'm very often in my studio during the night, almost all night long, several days in a week. And I don't feel tired. I feel very energized with the work. It's my big passion. Ceramic is my big passion, and I'm living for that.
And Marieke, you also teach, don't you? So you have part of a big program. Very difficult to integrate. I think you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay. Trying to find a balance between teaching and my own work, but I think if my own work is really working and doing well, also my studio is doing well in the high school. And I feel there's it goes together sometimes, but sometimes it's night workings and I don't have that much energy. It's still looking for a way how to balance easily.
And wonderful. Veljko, tell us about your life. Are you teaching or are you activist out in the political world?
So I started to work at the Art Academy here in Ljubljana in October. I teach there sculpture and techniques of sculpture.
Wonderful. And Mr. Peng, are you teaching as well in Beijing?
最近教书，在湖南永州。
Mr. Peng just taught students in Yongzhou. That is the origin of the women's writing.
Okay. Is that a teaching situation? Is that a teaching? Is he teaching as well as working in the studio?
一边教书一边工作。没有，我全职在教书。
Okay, and he is just a full-time teacher.
Oh, okay. It's very interesting how you all integrate your professional life with your professional life. It's works hand in hand, goes together. Let me ask you, Claudia, do we have? Are we out of time?
Yes, we are always having time, but some minutes left. Not for another question. Okay, let's say.
Well, I really have to thank you all. These new technologies mixed with the old way of working just shows us again this extraordinary material and how it continues to inform us. I'm thrilled to have seen such diverse expression. And today is a perfect example from one end to the other of how we have used this century-old material in fresh ways. And congratulations to you all, I must say. And I have to also say that it's pretty important of how well you communicate. I know English is not your first language, so my hands clapping for you because I could not do what you're doing in your language, and I just appreciate what you're saying so much. Thank you. Your English is wonderful, and I really thank you for that because the communication was just so excellent today. Thank you, Claudia, for inviting me.
Thank you, Judith. You are very kind to all of us with our bad English, but it's fine. If we are trying to communicate, that's the best part of this talk. And yes, we are going to the conclusion of these online meetings, and we will have just 2 more talks left. The next week will be I will have the opportunity to meet Li Xiao, Lena Kapke, Guglielmo Maggini, Thomas Marsileir, Anne Butler, Domenico Mangano e Marieke Van Roy, together with Men Tong-yu from China. And so it will be another opportunity to have an idea of the poetry of these artists and what is the engagement, because today we have a different opportunity to see this interaction between culture, political matters, tradition, and the reflection on ourselves through play. So it was fantastic, and I'd like to thank you all for this meeting and this opportunity to talk with you, to stay with you, and to see your beautiful images. And of course, there will be the next opportunity next week with other artists. But of course, there will be the opening of the exhibition at the end of June, 30 of June, and we invite you all to take part of this. That will be a great party of ceramics and a great opportunity to meet many artists. So thank you all, and see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure.
他怎么办呀？他们友情这里，我主题的关键部分。